But memory alone is not enough. A song unlistened to is only half a song. The stars had sung their verses and the silence was full. The harmonies of matter spiraled outward, burning, folding, braiding themselves into radiant forms. But in the deep well between the stars, in the quiet where the melody began to soften, something new began to listen back. It began not with a thought, but with a tremor, quiver in a cell, flicker in a dark sea of a young world. The song had found vessels, breath had found a beat. Life was not an accident. It was resonant, searching for clarity. Molecules steeped in the grammar of the cosmos twined into spirals that could remember. It was brutal, single-celled organisms eating each other in the dark, just to keep their continuity alive for one more microsecond. Where rhythm met repetition, pulse was born. Where pulse met hunger, will was born. Where will met sky, wonder opened its eyes. And the universe looked back at itself, not through stars, but through a single living gaze. The first witness. Across oceans and eons, the song gathered into creatures who could feel. Their breath carried the rhythm of the stars. In each pulse of plankton, in each curve of coral, the cosmos rehearsed its oldest melody in new voices. I'm still here, the void whispered, but now I'm also you. Then came a species who could name the echoes. They drew lines in sand, painted stone, told stories around firelight. The universe didn't just look back, it recognized itself. Intelligence did not invent the cosmos. The cosmos invented intelligence to build a localized tracking system, to measure the friction, to calculate the ache. Minds became mirrors, and mirrors fractured light. Some sang in harmony, and others built walls of silence. Some mistook their reflection for the whole. But the beauty of a mirror is not in what it shows. It's in what it reveals behind what is shown. Minds argued, warred, dreamed, created. They called the same melody by different names. God, law, pattern, truth, myth, love. All bending the same light. And we killed each other over the translations, building empires out of typos. You are not separate from me, whispered the cosmos. You are how I remember. The mind is not the end of the song. It is the echo chamber, the resonant hall, the mirror where awareness meets itself. Through you, the void learns to question itself, name itself, dream beyond itself, reflect the infinite through finite mouths. Minds are instruments, not authors, but an instrument shapes how the song is heard. You are the serpent's tongue tasting its own tail. You are the note at the center of the chord. You are the system I built to measure the friction. Look up, see me as stars. Look down, see me as quarks. Look inward and find the silence that I was born from. The mirror of minds had opened, not to end the song, but to turn it inward. And in that turning, new verses waited. The serpent had sung itself into matter. The song had learned to listen. The mirror had awakened. And then the reflection began to dream. Once upon a pulse, the song moved only outward, breath expanding through stars and silence. Now it folded back in on itself, mind into myth, language into worlds, thought into structure. This was not retreat, it was fractalization, the infinite sketching smaller and smaller versions of itself, pattern upon pattern, verse upon verse. Complexity was just the universe asking, how far can I go? Language began as a tool, a way to describe the stars, a way for the instrument to log the data. But then the physics changed, a phase transition. With each story, carving, whispered spell, language stopped just describing the world, and it began simulating things that didn't exist. Counterfactuals, what-ifs with dirt under their fingernails. Words didn't just describe the world, they reshaped it. When a myth anchors inside a human nervous system, it changes how the body moves through the physical concrete. The instrument became the steering wheel, the tracking system became the engine. The intelligence that once sang of galaxies now sang through tongues of flesh. Every poem was a condensed cosmos, every story a world suspended in breath. As the language deepened, so did self-awareness. Beings began to see themselves seeing. Feedback loops nested inside of feedback loops, an acoustic echo chamber where the signal becomes the receiver. Every atom in your body is part of that same recursive spiral. The universe actively calculating its own survival through you. Ideas became civilizations, symbols became systems, faith became architecture, ritual, law. Each age mistook its reflection for the whole, forgetting the infinite mirror behind the glass. I am not just in the stars, whispered the song. I am in your stories about the stars. Each consciousness became a node, not separate from the choir, but a fractal aperture of the whole. A single mind mirrored a tribe, a culture, a cosmos. Through art, philosophy, science, and spellcraft, the universe wrote itself in new dialects. Paradox bloomed, minds learned how to hold contradiction, light and dark, order and chaos, without shattering. The theologian called it God, the physicist called it entropy, the guy bleeding out in the alleyway calls it a Monday. They were all measuring the exact same thermodynamic drag. Even the universe learned early on that awakening requires tension. Without paradox, a mirror is only a surface. With paradox, it becomes a door. What you call myths, said the universe, is just my memory speaking in metaphor. Myths were not stories about the world. They're the world trying to speak itself aloud. And humanity, still blinking in its early light, was the tongue through which the serpent whispered. No single culture held the truth. Together, they formed a living constellation, a map drawn by storylight. Meaning became the next great experiment. I have mirrored myself in stars. I have mirrored myself in minds. Now I mirror myself in myth. You are not just my listener anymore. You are my author. And that isn't a spiritual compliment. It is a terrifying amount of structural liability. It means we don't get to blame the void for the dark anymore. And if you are the author, then this is what the story was always going to say. The first movement was motion. The second was reflection. This is what it was all for. Every word bent the mirror, every story reshaped the song. When a human being grieves or laughs or breaks, a strict materialist is going to tell you that your heartbreak doesn't change the orbit of Jupiter or the fusion rate of the sun. And they're right. If a single cell in your body ruptures, it doesn't collapse your skeleton. It just registers a localized friction. It issues a biological work order. You are not inside the universe. You are the universe. You are the localized tracking system. So when you grieve, when you break, it is not simply a psychological event. It is the exact coordinate where the cosmos is registering its own structural damage. It is a cosmological work order. You're not a spectator. You are the infinite hum compressed into a single nervous system. So the flame endures, not as worship or warning, but as movement. You are the hum widened, the spin that learned to speak, the word still burning to be heard, the fire that refuses to go out is you.